Hello, this is Liquid Ocelot and welcome back. I'm here with another replay. But before we start discussing this replay, I would like to tell you that if you want to contribute to future red3.org tournaments on Game Replays, you can send in your donations to the two donation emails in the description box, and one is for Methuselah, one of the administrators of Game Replays, and one is for CNC Online administrator Toxic Shock, the head of CNC Command and Conquer division on Game Replays, as well as administrator on CNC Online application. Now, before I start, also I would like to tell you, please subscribe to my YouTube channel and don't forget to click that notification bar. Now we have a replay with us that has been gaining a lot of popularity on the Populars Replay tab. It's Tony versus Deep Fantasy on Fire Island. I was supposed to do this cast as a dual cast with Erva, but Erva had some personal issues and he will join me later, so I have to keep my tight schedule. I have to keep creating content. So let's start the match. We have Tony on the top side of the map. On Fire Island, he is Blue Allies. And we have the recent Christmas 2017 tournament winner, Deep Fantasy, on down bottom. Barracks opening and just near the refinery spot, and Tony going for a barracks opening as well, engineering first, and very good ploy. Usually you should make engineer first, and if you are versus allies, make peacekeepers, and you should escort the engineer with your peacekeeper and dogs, especially versus Soviets. So he is going to capture his oil derrick. Usually Soviet players are reluctant on this map with spamming a lot of bears or conscripts, because most allies players like this make fast airfield, and this is a big problem for Soviets to handle. But Tony, if you look at him, he's making not that much overspending on peacekeepers. He made just 3 or 4 peacekeepers, and Vindicators out already for Tony. TT Fantasy going for just I think 8-9 conscripts, and we see a turret defending the war factory position, and bullfrogs coming out expected from the Soviet player. 2 power plants and moving very good. This is very good build order. I think the best build order for this map for Soviets. Usually players make super reactor, but for faster expansions I think going for 2 power plant build is a better option, and going for this 3rd refinery position as soon as possible, realizing that he's going to be far behind economically, because this is allies, sort of a allies map. And you see Tony has moved his MCV in a Chinese aggressive style, like he usually you see allies player move their MCV in this area because they can build refinery over here in the seaside and over here. But Tony moved it in an aggressive area, and usually they go for after going for 3rd refinery, they go for war factory. So I think he went for dog score as well, 2 riptides on the field. And this is normal play because a lot of these allies players, I have noticed they make a lot of riptides these days. This terror drone will be shredded, and Tony will capture second oil as well. Very aggressive play from Tony, but Deep Fantasy is on 3 refineries, so economically Deep Fantasy is ahead, but not for too long, because Tony will just make a refinery. Yes, he just made a refinery, and I think he had a chance of going. He should have taken the chance of harassing this collector, but he didn't, because there was a peacekeeper nearby, and he decided to save his terror drone. 3 bullfrogs on the field. You see, these good players, pro players, they don't overspend on units. They make enough units, even though I think that this bullfrog number isn't enough. He should be making more bullfrogs. And look at these mind games from Deep Fantasy. He threw in a terror drone as a gift for the Vindicators to snipe, so that he can lure the Vindicators to snipe their terror drone. And he hit those bullfrogs. He's going to capture his oil derrick. I saw battle marker over here, but nothing seems to be here at the moment. So one oil derrick is with Tony, and one is with Deep Fantasy at the moment. And a rocket inside IFV. So War Factory is out for Tony, and in the meanwhile Twin Blade is out for Deep Fantasy. Tony is expecting a refinery in the seaside, and rightly so, because Deep Fantasy needs to expand. These expansions are very crucial for Soviet players to time importantly, because 3 refineries is sort of like enough for allies to dominate on this map. But what I am surprised is that why Tony didn't go for a 4th refinery in the sea area. I think maybe defending it is very difficult. He has a sizable army though, and you see Tony is protecting this. Yes, he has somehow sniped this oil derrick. So economically Tony is in a very good position. A dog, yes, this was the battle marker, scouting all of base of Deep Fantasy, and Deep Fantasy desperately needs some anti-air, I think, also some ground units to protect him from this onslaught from Tony. Tony coming with laser pointer guardian tanks, and bear howl trying to yes, a lot of action going on, and Deep Fantasy is focusing more and more on leech beam therapy. He's focusing more, but good micro from Tony. He's multi-shrink some of the tanks, kept his unit safe from those bullfrogs. And bullfrogs, he's going very aggressive, but I think he should protect these bullfrogs as much as possible. And somehow this engagement was equally fought equally. Both players exchanged some heavy blows, lusty blows to each other, but still both lost equal number of units. So that was a very good attacking move from Tony, and Tony now sold his war factory. He's going to focus more and more on air, I think, in this game, more and more on air. But Deep Fantasy has to make fighters with him. Tony has a couple of IFVs in his main base, trying to protect his refineries from potential harassments from these twin blades. Maybe a terror drone inside, who knows? Scouting information collected from Deep Fantasy, and that bear was sniped. And I see, yes, a twin blade with 2 MiG fighters, but remember, Tony has 3 Apollo fighters, and unless he micros really poorly with those 3 Apollo fighters, he is going to hammer out the dog fights. But now Deep Fantasy has 4 MiG fighters and battle marker in the middle of the map, trying to pressure Tony as much as possible. You see, Deep Fantasy realizes, okay, he has to. Tony doesn't have a war factory. Usually, allies players at this moment of time they have a war factory, and they go tier 3 with a 4th refinery. But Tony has only 3 refineries with him, and a couple of IFVs with javelin soldiers trying to harass and stop. Yes, they destroyed a whole refinery for Deep Fantasy. Whole refinery was sniped with a couple of IFVs, so very good play from Tony. He took full advantage, and now we see 3 cryocopters, multi-shrink micro, very good micro from Tony. And these hammer tanks will go away, even though Deep Fantasy has 5 bullfrogs, but because he cannot go into close proximity because of those javelin soldiers and peacekeepers, he had to go back. And Deep Fantasy has remade refinery. I think he's going to escort this collector back to his base, and a 4th refinery finally from Tony. So Deep Fantasy is going for a naval yard, so he's going to try to harass this refinery position. Once again, Tony made his war factory, and these cryocopters trying to snipe out this refinery, and very easily sniped down. But this naval yard will easily have some sort of bullfrogs with him. Bullfrogs also coming, and a lot of engagement over here. One MiG fighter will be sniped in the air, and very aggressive game from Tony. Tony has managed to snipe refinery of Deep Fantasy 2 times, and he has a turret queued already. He has a turret out already, but with these cryocopters, if he's defending properly, can easily snipe out, shrink this Akula sub and snipe it completely to oblivion. And coupled with a couple of riptides, he can easily. Once again, a collector has been sniped. A turret, AA battery is here, but still a collector was sniped. You see, this is exactly what I was talking about. That Akula sub was sniped instantly, and this naval yard will now be sniped with these 5 cryocopters. So the wing battles are here. Wing battles are easily here, and these IFVs will make sure that these Apollo fighters have some sort of support, because remember, because of the large number of bullfrogs available at disposal for Deep can easily defend himself. But on land, Tony is a bit weak. He needs some sort of guardian tanks or turrets in this area, and with this big amount of force, I think he can easily do some sort of damage. But peacekeepers and shrinked hammer tanks, they really snipe and chip away those hammer tanks. You see, all these hammer tanks are so vulnerable to these peacekeepers just because of those they are shrinked. But somehow one thing Deep Fantasy has done is that he has kept those bullfrog alive. Bullfrogs are alive somehow. What he's doing though, Tony, is he's being aggressive, and he's making sure that he's attacking giving Deep Deep Fantasy no chance. And one thing Deep Deep Fantasy has done is that he has that fifth refinery and MCV positioned at a very dangerous position. He's going back now. I don't know where he's going, but he's going back. The factory is in a lot. Its health is too low because of that hammer tank attack, and also I think orbital drop. So Tony will have to make an engineer to heal his war factory. Very important structure for Tony. And a lot of hammer tanks. I think at the moment somehow Deep Deep Fantasy has a lot of units that can do a lot of damage, and at the same time Tony doesn't have that many units on the battlefield except those cryocopters. So he's scared from the IFVs, or maybe thinking that some javelin soldiers inside those riptides, and he can easily defend himself in sea. Because that's why Tony decided to go back with his attack. 6 cryocopters, focusing a lot on cryocopters. A turret has been placed for twin blade harassment, and tier 3 Deep Deep Fantasy is on tier 3 at the moment with V4 rockets. And in the meanwhile he attacked over there. He's attacking multiple locations at the same time. He's attacking with javelin soldiers to destroy this refinery, and also with riptides he's attacking sea refinery. So he's going to go back. Very good play from Tony. Excellent play and control from Tony. But Natasha is out, and a turret room with stasis raid. Very good play from Tony at the moment, but still you cannot ignore the champion. Deep Deep Fantasy is also in a very dangerous position, and he's trying to snipe. This refinery will be sniped, but at the expense of these three V4 rockets. 3 V4 rockets, and Natasha as well has been sniped. So very good engagement in a way for Tony. Tony has immediately remade his refinery, and this secondary ability of V4 rockets are being used. Usually Soviet players use the secondary ability of V4 rockets for infantry, for clearing out a lot of infantry. And the collector has been sniped. The refinery has been sniped once again. So yes, a spy! What is happening over here? Oh my god! A spy has stolen some V4 rockets, and now Tony has one V4 rocket. What's happening? Deep Deep Fantasy needs a couple of pairs to scout these spies. These spies can be very dangerous and deadly. And now Tony is using that V4 rocket to his advantage. He has 7 cryocopters. So he's going to try to milk any forces that comes his way, and with those IFVs he can easily snipe a couple of units easily. Tony is, I think, making... No, he's not making... Yes, he's made his refinery. But you see what Tony has done all throughout this game, as he has been very aggressive. Very aggressive. Battle marker, what's happening? Three twin blades are harassing Tony's base, and easily he's going to easily defend this area. Very good play from Tony. Tony has 2 Apollo fighters, while Deep Deep Fantasy has 2 MiG fighters and 2 twin blades. This attack was a failure in a way, because he wasn't able to destroy that ore collector. And I have to see the name of the protocol. I just forget about these protocols. Cryogeddon, yes. Cryogeddon was used, but not many units were sniped, and Tony is using that V4 rocket that he stole with that spy to destroy this refinery, and he has sniped this refinery. So very good play from Tony, but he should be careful with his units. I haven't seen. Yes, he's been careful. This refinery in the meanwhile was sniped with Akula subs, I suppose, because another naval yard from Deep Fantasy. Deep Fantasy still in ascendancy. He has 5 refineries. He should aim for this refinery. He should be more aggressive. Should aim at this refinery. One thing, yes, is going for that wing refinery position, Tony, and he's going to easily clear out this area. So this is very important that he destroys this this wing refinery, and without losing any units, he has easily managed to destroy this refinery. An attack coming from the middle with lots and lots of V4 rockets, but he should be very careful with Cryogeddon. I think Cryogeddon, he doesn't have it at the moment. He doesn't have it, or he would have used it already. But too many V4 rockets, and with the possibility of a spy, this could be very dangerous for Deep Fantasy. He has MCV pushed for the wing refinery position, Deep Fantasy, and Tony is trying to, yes, he's going to freeze the MCV and snipe it. So he didn't even sell that MCV to get 2,500 credits, and so he's without MCV, and Tony has remade refinery in C, but we have Dreadnought. So Dreadnought attacking that C refinery position, and in the meanwhile Tony is on 3 refineries, while Deep Fantasy is on 4 refineries. So Prospector is over here and in attacking position. No, both are on equal refineries. Tony is also having a wing refinery. So Kirov into the mix now. But these IFVs, 3 IFVs, 2 IFVs are elite status, and all of these easily he's going to snipe this Kirov. He should be careful though. He should move these IFVs away, and a big massive attack was overhauled by Tony. Attack was overhauled by Tony. Tony has brought in his forces, and a lot of action going on over here. One thing Deep Fantasy has done, this is very good play from him, that he has brought in some bears to scout those meddling spies. This is the best counter for spy, because now he has stasis. He's doing stasis micro on that Riptide. And Tony has bought a prospector, had a prospector over here, and he's just sold it. So both on 4 refineries at the moment. Very tight game this. Is trying to confuse Tony with that terror drone from Bullfrog. The start status V4 rocket. So at the moment he's only on 3 refineries. Deep Deep Fantasy is on 3 refineries, 3 riptides going towards sea, and with the help of these 3 IFVs, he can easily defend himself from the sea twin blades. Second Apollo fighter came in to join the fun, and they are attacking this Kirov. Third one also came in. So this Kirov is easily going to be sniped in the air, and with these 3 IFVs and with the health is too low for the Kirov. Kirov has been sniped, so a $2,000 Kirov has been sniped, and Tony is abusing these cryocopters easily. He's easily dominating the air at the moment. He's dominating it, and I don't know why Deep Deep Fantasy is attacking. He doesn't have anti-air, and he's gifting away these units. He doesn't have any anti-air. He just have a couple of bullfrogs. If Tony wants, he can easily come and finish him off, to be honest. He can finish him off. He has enough forces with him. But he's going to make sure he's going to play safe, and he's going to play smart. This is what all good players do. He's going to take out this refinery, this fourth refinery. Tony is on 5 refineries, remember. He's dominating. And Tony has brought in all of his cryocopters. Very good multi-shrink micro from Tony. He doesn't care if a couple of cryocopters are destroyed. He's willing to take the risks. And one thing Tony has done in this game is that he has those IFVs protected somehow, mixed in with with riptides, so he can easily take out the possibility of a terror drone trying to harass these IFVs. I don't understand why Tony is not making Athena cannons. He's focusing more and more on cryocopters. 2 Apollo fighters in sea area, scouting this area. This refinery is built for Deep Deep Fantasy, but the collector is not working. He doesn't realize this, and it's bugged. So in this situation, you have to sell the side walls. A big engagement for Tony. Tony tried to harass this sea refinery area, and he lost some cryocopters. So Deep Deep Fantasy hanging in there somehow. He doesn't have MCV, but he has Iron Curtain. I didn't realize that he had an Iron Curtain, and now he's going to mix up these units and use the Iron Curtain and attack Tony, because he knows that he's in a very dangerous position. He's going to go as close as possible. So I don't know how he did this, but he managed to get all of the units in Iron Curtain mode. I don't know how he did this, some bug or something, but he used it on a specific area, and that specific area, he then went in that area, and all of the units were affected by that Iron Curtain. I think this is a bug or something. I will ask somebody still. Bullfrogs are in extreme danger, and with these cryocopters, 5 cryocopters easily snipe these bullfrogs. They will clean this area out, easily clean it out, and with a Mirage tank into the mix, easily these bullfrogs are going into the Venom's Den. This is a Venom's Den, to be honest. And all of this attack has been diminished from Deep Deep Fantasy, losing so many units. I think after he used that Iron Curtain, he should have focused on this area, and then went back, a hit and run attack, quick attack, because he has so many cryocopters and so much defense. You see, this has forced Deep Fantasy to call it a day and quit. So very entertaining game from Deep Fantasy versus Tony. And let's see the resources tab. I think Tony is way ahead. Yes, Tony is ahead in the end of the game when he had 5 refineries. But from the 11th or 10th minute mark till the 26th minute mark, Deep Fantasy was ahead in economy. Kill death ratio, Tony is way ahead with 1.05, and he is behind in kill death ratio. Deep Fantasy also in overall economy, like we saw the graph in the end, Tony went ahead in economy. So very good game. Please leave a like, comment on the video, and leave a thought what you thought about this game, and send in your suggestions that why Deep Fantasy struggled. A lot of players on the forums are saying after watching the replay that Deep Fantasy used the middle route more and more to attack. But I think those wing refinery positions and those wing areas where he invested so much on Akula subs, and also that 5th refinery, Deep Fantasy could have done a better job defending that area. He didn't. He tried, to be honest with him, but there were too many cryocopters, and with the MiG fighters, too many MiG fighters. Big fighters were not a good solution with that mixture of units that Tony had. He kept losing those MiG fighters, and I think this is where Deep Fantasy struggled. He needed more aggressiveness from the bullfrogs, I think so. But still, I need your feedback on what you thought, what mistakes Deep Fantasy made in defense and in attack. Please leave a like, comment and subscribe. Thank you so much. I'll be signing off, and before going, I'll ask if you have any request for doing a cast. Leave a link to the replay in the comment section, and I'll try to fill up your request. Thank you so much. I'll be signing off.